You know, one of my friends had actually come out here to California, and he met Gene Roddenberry, and he went to the office and he got a bunch of Star Trek stuff, and so I used some of that in the first issue.
That's cool.
Anyway, we started that magazine in 2076, in America's bicentennial year.
1976.
I'm sorry, 1976.
But you are a man of the future. I was just wondering if you like could just revealed your secret that you are from the future,
No.
gracing us with knowledge.
I love the future, and my heart and soul are there, but my body is here. So anyway, we were doing the magazine. It was still quarterly. And then, lo and behold, the next year, 1977, this guy up in San Francisco named George Lucas came out with a movie called Star Wars. And it was a huge success.
Really?
And it made the cover of Time magazine. And all of a sudden, science fiction was hot. And we were the only magazine that was covering that field.
Wow.
And so immediately our distributor let us go from quarterly to monthly. And when I met George Lucas later on, I told him that I said, you are the guy who let me have a monthly newsstand science fiction magazine.
Wow.
And we were getting letters from fans by the hundreds and thousands. And they said, you know, we love your magazine, but we want to see more. We want to see Dracula, and we want to see Godzilla, and we want to, you know, they wanted all this. I said, that's not really science fiction, that's horror. I said, there's a horror audience out there too. And so I had come up with the name Starlog. Norman and I decided to do a horror magazine. And we tossed around a lot of different names. And one Monday morning, he came in and he said, I've got it. I've got the name. I said, what? He said, Fangoria. I said, Fangoria? He said, yeah. He said, it's got fang in it. That's horror.
Gore.
It's got gore in it. And it's got fan.
Oh, yeah.
I said, Norman, that's great. So we launched Fangoria. And one by one, but the same process, we'd get letters and response from our audience, and they would say, we want this, we want this, we want this. So we started creating magazines, and at our peak, we were publishing 24 monthly newsstand magazines that covered all kinds of topics.
Wow.
And it all started with a soap opera magazine, and then later, this magazine.
That's amazing. That's incredible. And I mean, people probably forget like how influential magazines were. I mean, even I grew up in the 90s, so it was a little before the internet like boom. And as a kid, I would go to the grocery store with my mom and go straight to the magazine section. And I would sit there, and for me, it was Mad Magazine. I would get the new issue of Mad Magazine, and I would just...
Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah, exactly. Were you familiar with the Mad people?
Well,
did you interact with
not
someone
really, but I loved Mad Magazine too.
Yeah, that was so fun, especially as a kid. But I did kind of miss the Starlog era. But I know, you know, I've like J.J. Abrams, like it was extremely inspirational to
I know.
like generations of like
that.
sci-fi.
He said that my editorials in Starlog, I wrote an opening editorial at the beginning of each issue. It's called From the Bridge. And I got to write about anything I wanted to. And I wrote about experiences I had in my life and things that I knew fans would be interested in and would be inspired by and would be motivated by. And sure enough, when I moved out here to LA 20 years ago, and I met J.J. Abrams, and he said, Kerry, he said, I wouldn't be in this business if it weren't for your editorials and how they inspired me. And I heard that from so many other people. I mean, one person after, once I moved out here, I met everybody in the movie business, and I found out that a lot of them were readers of my magazines and were inspired by them.